Hi coaches, this is the second coaches review film that we're doing. Again, like I said, we want to try and do this every week. I'm a little late this week. Try to get these out Wednesday or Thursday, but just got backed up with the holiday and some other things. So apologize, a little bit late, but we'll just go ahead and start. This week we're focusing. We had a lot of out of bounds, late hit out of bounds plays this past week. We're going to look at a couple of DPIs and one non-targeting that we called as a targeting. So we'll look at some of that. This first one is late hit out of bounds. We'll watch all the way through. What we look for late hit out of bounds, there's actually two different types of late hit out of bounds. There's one where there's a wrap up, it's carried out of bounds, and then there's a second effort. And then there's one where it's just a player coming in late. If we watch this first player that gets there marginally late, it's going to be this one right there. That one's a little marginal, so that one would not have been a late hit out of bounds. This one, though, disengages with the block when the player's already out of bounds. He had a opportunity to hold up, but he kept coming, and that one's just way late. And then even after that, there's a bit of a second effort to kind of really take him down, and that's where the flag comes in. So remember, when we look at late hit out of bounds, there's coming in really late, and then there's one that involves a second effort. This is another one from the same game where it's going to happen on the far sideline. This one is it's a little harder and it's harder to see. It kind of looks like two players just kind of tripped over each other, and the other one fell into the runner out of bounds. Nevertheless, you still had him coming in. It's still a late hit. Like he looks to me like he's clearly out of bounds, or he's about to be out of bounds. He's giving himself up, and this player right here is still going to come in. It kind of like it looks like they tripped over each other, but there's still a hit. And again, it's a safety issue. We're just trying to limit any kind of contact after a player has given himself up. I understand it can be hard, so you don't want your players to give up and then the kid take off down the sideline. But this one, we try to give him some opportunity. This one again, this falls in a category of just a little late after the fact. He's clearly giving himself up, and the player in the white jersey is going to come in and just take him down. We'll slow it down a little more. Player's going to give himself up right there, and it looks like number 20, it looks like kind of just comes in way late and takes him down. So again, that's obviously late. He had an opportunity to let up. Now we're going to look at some defensive pass interference plays. Had several of those this past week. Remember in Georgia High School this year, we eliminated one of the categories of DPI. We no longer have face guarding. We're in an experimental state for that. So now we just have playing through the back, cut off, hook and turn, arm bar, not playing the ball, and grabbing the arm of the receiver. This one's going to fall in the category of a cutoff. It's one of the more lesser called, lesser seen defensive pass interference plays. And essentially what it involves in this instance, where initially there's receiver, or there's some contact, it looks like it's chicken fighting throughout the play. But where we have the problem is receiver trying to run his route, and the defender is creating the contact by not letting him run his route. Obviously, I don't know what defensive backs are taught. I was a kicker and a punter, so I don't know what you guys are taught. But obviously, you do what you got to do to defend the ball. Um, but really, what we look for is, as a defender, did the defender keep the ball from getting to the player, or did they keep the player from getting to the ball? And that really is the essence of a cutoff. So in this situation, the defender is not letting the receiver run his route and doing it in a way that's impeding the player rather than impeding the ball. It's creating contact, sort of running him out of bounds, running him out of his play. The pass is not catchable, but remember in National Federation High School, we don't have the catchable stipulation like they have in NCAA. But even in NCAA, this would not be considered uncatchable because in NCAA, it's got to be where it really would not be catchable. I mean, it's got to be not even in the same arena. This doesn't fall in that category anyway. But regardless, in high school, we don't have catchable, uncatchable. We would still use some good judgment. So in this instance, if that ball is just overthrown, way overthrown, like over here where these trailers are, it would still be a judgment call on the official. I would assume at that point it would just be what kind of contact was it? Was it marginal contact or was it aggressive contact? This one is a little different as well. You're going to have contact on a receiver by the defender, a receiver who's not is not in the area where the ball was thrown. So in this one, the ball is really already in the air when the contact is when the contact is made. The stipulation for the defensive pass interference is um, contact, unnecessary contact, or whatever on a eligible receiver on a thrown pass. So by rule, you still have that. Now, some may say it's too technical because the ball's in the air, contact is made. The problem with that is you have an obvious foul in the middle of the field, and that's something we are trying to eliminate. If you have a foul this obvious right in the middle of the field where everyone can see it, even if it's not in the area or vicinity of the ball, we're still going to call that. And that's what we have here. So again, he's not the intended receiver, and it's still after the ball was thrown, but we would still uphold the defensive pass interference on this call because of the nature of the contact and where it was. This one's a little more obvious, DPI. Again, it kind of falls in the realm of a cutoff. What we teach our officials is that if we cannot put the contact into one of those categories of defensive pass interference, then do not throw the flag. And you guys as coaches, please do not ever be afraid to ask one of our officials what category was it. Because we teach them, you can't put it in a category, don't throw it. In this situation, I'm guessing, well, look at the foul report. He says there was grabbing the receiver's arm. And if you see it, if you watch it, slow it down, he definitely does grab the receiver's arm. And it does look like he's keeping the receiver from getting to the ball, which again is what we're looking at. Is the defender keeping the ball from getting to the receiver, keeping the receiver from getting to the ball. Okay, so now we're going to look at two plays that not really fall in the category of targeting, but we need to look at in the realm of targeting. This one's going to be a targeting called that should not have been called, and then we'll go over why it should not have been called. And it's going to happen on this when the receiver cuts back over here, kind of in the middle, right here. So, trying to slow it down, or trying to run it at full speed so you guys can look at it. But yeah, that we call targeting, should not have been. So one thing we look for is targeting, where it gets sort of dicey is targeting is not just contact to the head or neck area. It has to be forcible contact to the head and neck area. So when we look at it in that regard, what we're going to see on this play is the forcible contact, where the majority of the contact is taking place, is going to be at the shoulder or slightly below. He does dip his head a little bit, but he's not really leading with the crown of the helmet. So that right there, targeting is already a little bit off the table. And then if you look at where the force of the contact is, it's to the shoulder, it's to the chest, and then if you just watching the way the receiver falls to the ground, his head doesn't slip back, he's not blown up. So that again it's just the force of the contact is not in the head area. Now, even if there was head or helmet to helmet contact, again, if the force of the contact is right there at the shoulders and then there's marginal contact to the head, so say the crown of the helmet makes some contact to the chin or the face mask, that's not necessarily targeting. The wording of the rule is forcible contact. So where the brunt of the contact takes place at. That's what we're looking for. This is another one. We saw a similar play like this over the weekend. It was more vicious. I want to say Texas Notre Dame game maybe, where there was a targeting, and some of this receivers coming down and defenders right there. It was targeting. It should have been called. This one was not really fall in that category, but I show it because just to let you guys know what we look for. And in a situation like this where you have a receiver going up and defenders coming in, the onus is on the defender to change his position. It's not really fair to your defenders, I understand that, but it's the best way to keep this safe. What we have here, what we had in that Texas Notre Dame game is actually, though, the defender, even at this point, initiated the contact, kind of launch. What we're going to have here, this player's going to do a good job. He stops, he tries the position, he actually kind of catches the receiver. Yeah, there's hit made, there's contact made, but the defender here did a good job of kind of adjusting his position, stopping, and kind of catching the receiver, and therefore not causing any kind of targeting. So again, I show that just so you guys kind of understand and try to relate to your defensive backs. The onus is on them to change their position. I understand sometimes it's hard and it's not really fair. I understand that, but that is, for us, it's really the best way to officiate this and keep your players safe. That's it for this week. Again, sorry it's late. I hope you guys got something out of this, and I'll try to get the one next week out a little quicker. Remember, try to get your film into us. We use it just like you're seeing now. We break it down. We send this out to our officials, see what we missed. Then we try to also help you guys out on explaining some of our calls and what we're looking for. All right, good luck tonight, guys, and we'll do this again next week. Thanks.